Well, from the lies being told by Liberals in Ottawa to the lies, well, the problems really of the fiscal variety with Liberals in Ontario at the provincial capital, Queen's Park. They're having their budget day today, and we know one thing, taxes are going up, costs are going up for consumers, and so is the provincial debt. But one man wants to change that. Monte McNaughton is a Conservative MPP, joins me now. Monte, you have a private member's bill that you hope will be part of the solution to dealing with Ontario's fiscal woes. Tell me what it is and why you brought it forward.
Well, I've traveled across the province over the last number of weeks. I launched this Back in Black tour to come up with ideas to create jobs in Ontario, create the right conditions for private sector jobs, and come up with ideas on how to balance the budget in Ontario. Yesterday, I introduced a private member's bill to cap Ontario's debt, to bring in a debt ceiling, essentially to force governments, whether it's this Liberal government or future governments, to live within their means and not go over a certain amount of debt.
The idea of a debt ceiling is one that's in use in the United States. Would your bill bring about a similar situation where, yeah, there's a debt cap, but then every year the politicians get together and say, who wants to raise it? I do. And they all raise the debt ceiling and then they keep spending more.
Well, I think the biggest reason why I want to see a debt cap in Ontario, because I think politicians should be held accountable for the amount of debt that they're taking on behalf of our generation of people in Ontario and future generations. And I have a young daughter, and we're putting this burden on that generation of people in Ontario. And I just think it's irresponsible of politicians and governments to be kicking the can down the road, not dealing with this massive debt that's set to hit $300 billion in Ontario.
That $300 billion figure, that's something that's tough for most people to wrap their heads around. I can barely imagine $1 billion, never mind $300 billion, what that would do. But I do remember being on the Ontario side of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation website the other day, and they had it listed as $21,000 for every man, woman, and child in the province. That's a bit more of a digestible number, and one that people can sit there and say, oh, $21,000 for me? I got 2, 3, 4 people in my house. It's $80,000, $85,000 we owe. That's crazy. Do you try and break it down for people like that when you're talking to them about the size of Ontario's debt?
I do, and I think you have to bring it back in terms that everyday people in the province understand. And a $21,000 debt that each man, woman, and child is responsible for in Ontario through essentially no fault of their own because of incompetent and reckless government decisions. We do need to bring that back in terms that they understand. It's really deeply concerning for the future of this province.
Do you have much support from other parties? I mean, I can't see Kathleen Wynne getting behind this unless it was to say, all right, Monte, we voted for your bill. Now vote to increase taxes for me because we need to pay for this.
Well, and I'm sure that's the approach that the Liberals would take. We're seeing it in the budget today. There's going to be substantial tax increases, whether it's on a liter of fuel or $5 a month extra on home heating costs. This is a government that has, I've said a number of times, a spending problem, not a revenue problem. And my idea to contain the debt will focus the government, I think, on hopefully looking where they can save some money. We need to reduce the size and cost of government. It's grown substantially over the last 15 years. In fact, it's grown beyond the ability of everyday families in the province to pay for it.
But do you really think that that the Liberals see that they have a spending problem? I think they honestly believe they've got a revenue tools problem, that they haven't bought enough tools down at the Home Depot yet, and they need to find more. I mean, that's why they're coming out with the increase in the price of a bottle of wine, the cap and trade system that's going to up the price of that liter of fuel and up the cost of heating your home. These are all just ways that they're trying to find to dip into our pockets to keep spending while still driving up the debt.
Oh, you're right. They think that they need to raise taxes, but I think the small businesses that I've talked to, the individuals, the families and seniors out there, have a different opinion, and they know that they're having a tough time affording life in Ontario, affording to operate their small business. I've talked to a number of manufacturers who would like to expand in the province, but they know with this $300 billion debt that unfortunately is going to be increasing. We'll see in the budget today that number is actually set to climb. They are looking at other jurisdictions to expand because they want to be in a place where a government is well run. And unfortunately, like everybody in the province, they know that taxes are going to go up, and the cost of doing business in Ontario is going to get up, going to continue going up. So this bill is to put a focus on that and to have that transparent debate in the legislature on the debt and the size and cost of government.
Can you have a transparent debate? Can you have an open debate when one side just doesn't see that there's a problem? I mean, Ontario is the most indebted sub-sovereign jurisdiction in the world. You look at provinces and states, and Ontario has the biggest debt. You look at California. California has more people than all of Canada, and they have less debt than Ontario does, and they're considered broke.
Yeah, it's true. Look, the Liberals and the NDP, to that extent, have a different view of the province and where we should be going. But I think there is growing concern amongst the public where Ontario is going. And I think there was a clear message sent in the Whitby-Oshawa by-election to Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals, and Justin Trudeau tried to play a big part in that campaign as well. So when we talk about the $21,000 debt per person in Ontario, that's only the provincial portion. We know that there's a sizable federal debt as well as some municipal debt in certain municipalities across the province.
So you add all of those up and it becomes problematic for economic growth, for the province, for the country.
Absolutely. We need to make tough decisions in government. They're not going to be easy, but I think it's the greatest challenge of our lifetime to get a handle on this debt. Unfortunately, we've had a government over the last 15 years that's raised that debt from about $125 billion to $300 billion and growing. It is very unfortunate for your children, my child, and the future generations in Ontario.
Monte, where can people find out more about your bill? Maybe show some support if they like the idea and the cause behind it.
We launched a petition. I'd ask your viewers to go to it to help me bring this bill and move it forward. They can go to www.monte.ca. That's MONTE.ca.
All right, Monte McNaughton joining us from, it's Sarnia-Kent-Middlesex?
Lambton-Kent-Middlesex.
Lambton-Kent. I'll get it one day. I'll get it one day. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, don't go away. We're not done yet.